What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your least favorite what if YouTuber here, back at it again to drop what if Deku had black lightning. Now, have you guys ever wondered what would happen had Deku have been born with a quirk, or just what would happen if Deku was OP? Well, this is kind of going to be answering both of those questions because it's kind of just going to be a really fun to do series, not really meant to be taken too seriously. There might be a couple of areas where things just will be like, yo, what is going on here? But trust guys, at the end of the day, it's a what if, and it's more of a turn your brain off and just listen to the fights type of thing, kind of like Dragon Ball, more or less than something where you really have to pay attention to the plot. Pretty easy to understand, and it will be like a 4-part series. So yeah, if you guys do end up enjoying today's part, then I will be needing 1,000 likes in order for you guys to be getting part 2 of this amazing series. That being said though guys, make sure to go check out my links down below in my description, seeing as it will be having my sponsor, my legendary thumbnail maker Dank God, as well as the Discord server in case you haven't joined already. That being said though guys, I hope you guys go on to enjoy the video. Okay, so we're going to be starting off this story the day that Deku is born. Now, literally nothing about the My Hero Academia story is going to be changing up until this point. So, like, Deku's parents going to basically remain the same, as well as Deku's hair color. He's of course still going to be having the green locks on his hair. Actually, he's going to have black lightning. I think it'd be cooler if he had like black hair. So instead, he's going to be having black hair. I changed my mind out of nowhere. But yeah, Deku is going to be born with black hair in this version of events. And when Deku actually is born, what would happen is something very strange. Actually, in the world of My Hero, this is actually nothing that crazy. When Deku was born, the doctor would of course take Deku, as you know, he would basically hand Deku over to Inko. Now, Inko would be holding Deku, smiling, and Deku, of course, just being born like a normal baby, would start crying. Out of nowhere, Inko would notice that like this weird black electricity stuff would be coming into Deku's eyes, as Inko would be like, he's activating his quirk. The doctor would look at Inko, as Deku's quirk would pretty much like cause the hospital to literally just start flickering with the lights. Like the light bulbs and energy around them would just start going crazy, and the room would start flickering on and off with the lights. However, this is when about 5 seconds into that, out of nowhere, the entire hospital's like power supply would just get shut down. And that is because Deku sucks electricity out of things in order to essentially shoot it back out. And so Deku can pretty much take electricity from anywhere, meaning like the world, the earth, like the earth itself, the sky, and pretty much take it into himself and store it. And that is pretty much what Deku just did. He took all of the electricity out of the hospital, and a little bit of electricity was coming out because, you know, he still doesn't know how to control the quirk in and of itself. So Inko realizing this, the hospital would have to turn on the power generator in order for the hospital to stay on, and Inko would look at the doctor as they would perform a bunch of tests on Deku. Now, nothing too insane, they would pretty much just get some blood work, some scans, after about 1 week, seeing as Deku was just born, you know what I mean? They can't just be doing all that in all off rip, you know? So, you know, they do that little stuff, and well, of course, Deku will then proceed to essentially just be told that he has a quirk. Or more specifically, Inko would be informed of what Deku's quirk is. He has electricity or energy manipulation, which is pretty much a quirk that allows him to turn lightning. He can basically materialize lightning and use it for attacking, defense, or other things of that sort. Also powering things. So like, let's say his phone was at like 0%. If Deku wanted to, he could literally hover his finger over it and charge the phone, which is like probably the most useful thing that his quirk is going to be used for. Because it's like, bro, how many times have you guys been out and your phone just dies? Like, I wish I had this quirk. It'd be so dope to just go like, whoop, and then my phone would be charged. That way I would never have to charge it again. That'd be so lit. But no, all jokes aside, Deku will of course be told about all this stuff. Now, this is when we're going to kind of just skip on over for like 4 years, seeing as nothing really happens. Deku will of course here and there basically end up sucking out the electricity from his house, but he would of course slowly start learning how to control that by the time that he turned 4 years old and he goes to preschool. Once he goes there, he would actually know Katsuki Bakugo, you know, our boy Bakugo, his little goons and all that stuff, and Mitsuki will of course be knowing Inko. They would of course have that same friendship that they established in canon, and Deku and Bakugo will both be friends. However, in this version of events, Bakugo would actually look up to Deku and always tell him how great he is, because of the simple fact that Deku's already unlocked his quirk. However, Bakugo would always make it a point to always tell Deku that when he unlocks his quirk, he's going to be even stronger than he is. And so Deku would basically grow up in like basically preschool, pretty much being Mr. Popular, because he was one of the first kids to ever get the quirk. In fact, he was born with a quirk, and so everybody would think that Deku was just awesome off the bat for that. So for the next couple of first months of preschool, Deku would literally be little Mr. Popular. You know, everybody would want to be his friend. Deku would have a bunch of friends at that, and Deku would honestly just be having an amazing time. Deku would, you know, be having a couple of good times as one day Deku walks into the classroom. And, you know, they're having their final little period of the day where all of them are basically playing with clay. Now Bakugo being Bakugo, would just start messing around with it, throwing it at Izuku, as Deku looks at Bakugo and is like, hey Kacchan, stop, as you know, Bakugo would, and he would then look at Bakugo, his hands as he would clap, and a tiny little sparks of explosions would just go off, as we would have a scene very reminiscent to the one where Bakugo unlocks his quirk in canon, with the little blue sweater that he wears, and all that stuff. So yeah, Bakugo unlocks his quirk, and after this, he would immediately turn to Izuku as he smiles, and Deku rushes over to him telling him that that's awesome. He has such a cool quirk. Everybody would start filling up Bakugo's head with all these ideas, and when Bakugo goes to the quirk office, they would basically tell him how great he is, how he's gonna become a great hero someday. And Deku has been told that too, but luckily he has Inko there to, you know, keep him in check, humble him. But when it comes to Bakugo, he's not that type of person. He's not going to get humbled pretty quick without being taught. So the very next day at school, Bakugo would walk up to Deku and basically tell him, hey Deku, we can fight now. We both have cool quirks. And then both being 4 years old, Deku would be like, but I don't want to fight, Kacchan. Bakugo would look at him and be like, too bad, you're already in a fight. As he would run over to Deku and throw a punch. Deku would kind of just dodge it really quickly, well, as much as he could, seeing as he's a little kid, just moving out of the way. And Bakugo would say, come on Deku, let's go. As they're like, don't worry, it's nothing serious. It's just like friendly fight, you know? As Deku's like, oh, friendly? As he looks at Bakugo, and then like he like electricity crackles would basically go off on his by his hand. As sorry guys, I just killed a mosquito. It literally flew right in front of me. Gotta go clean that off. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, as I was saying, Deku's fingers would basically begin to crackle with electricity, as like black little lightning with like a little bit of purple on the edge of it would basically start crackling off of Deku's hands as he would turn towards Bakugo and just aim his fingers at him. This is when a little gust of electricity would basically shoot at Bakugo with such a small amount of electricity in it that it would just knock Bakugo over. And everybody would immediately rush at Deku, just be like, whoa, did you guys see that? Like everybody's just looking at him like, you're so cool. And Bakugo would get up as he would just see Deku in this sort of pedestal, as he would look at Deku and then go up there and be like, yeah, Deku, you're awesome. You know, Deku would smile as everybody's just filling up Deku's head, making him confident, making Deku feel good about himself, you know? And so Deku would feel great, honestly. Deku would have a big bright smile on his face, and Deku would be feeling like the man, you know what I'm saying? And so Deku would basically just be smiling, and this is where we're going to be having a little bit of a time skip. Obviously, I kind of made it sound as if I was going to end the video, but, you know, clearly not happening. So yeah, obviously there's going to be a little bit of a time skip, and we are going to be skipping all the way over to when Deku is basically 14 years old. However, before I just immediately go over to that and I don't cover anything at all, I am going to be covering a little bit of things. Number one, through the years, Deku and Bakugo of course became a little bit of a dynamic duo. They became the two like coolest people of the school, and Deku and Bakugo basically proceeded to train every single day. They both ended up also taking a really good liking towards soccer, and that's basically the sport that both of them would play all the time together. That being said, They basically end up getting onto the team when they're in middle school, and for the last 3 years, they've kind of been undefeated, just being amazing at that and just always being the best at whatever it is that they do. They would grow up basically being Mr. Populars, with Bakugo being like his second-hand man, kind of like a Mikey Draken role. I really almost said Kraken, but Draken role from Tokyo Revengers type of relationship where, Deku's really cool, Bakugo's really cool. They could both, fight each other, but at the end of the day, our boy Mikey, aka Deku, would obviously win. That being said, though, they both grew up getting very, very popular and, getting very powerful with their quirks. And so, we obviously have Bakugo's personality changing. He would get humbled because Deku's always there, so his personality would change. Obviously, he's still going to be on the rowdy side because of the fact that his family is still his family, and his mother is the way that she is, so he would be a little bit on the rowdy side. However, Deku, the thing that would change about him was that instead of being a little less, he would be a little less humble and more cocky, as well as laid back. And so, they have their little things that, they both have to work on if they want to become good heroes. But obviously, they're like the school's dynamic duo, and they're looked up to by like everybody. When it comes to dating, Deku's already had so much experience with all the girls from his class because each and every single one of them has wanted to have Deku, be their girl boyfriend or something like that. And so Deku has, because, man is a complete lady killer in this version. That being said, by the time that they're 14, we're obviously just going to cut on over to the day where, they're all inside of the classroom. The teacher would walk inside. Oh, I almost forgot what their abilities are and what it is that they can do. Obviously, Deku, he can basically shoot out lightning. He can coat lightning around himself to basically make himself faster. He has control over lightning of itself. So from the sky, from the earth, he can pretty much pull it up from the ground itself. And Deku can also teleport and can create panthers out of lightning, which are basically Deku's most powerful attack, second to only an attack which he created, kind of ripping off Sasuke because the Naruto manga is in this version of events, being Kirin. However, he kind of bases his fighting style off of Darui from Narutoverse because, as I said, he reads that manga. And Deku has lightning similar to his, so, he thinks it's pretty cool. So, yeah, Deku also likes to fight with a sword every now and then. He's not like the greatest sword user of all time, but, he's pretty decent at it. He could pull it out in a fight and, definitely get to work with it. But when it comes to Bakugo, he basically ended up getting a very high resistance to electricity, as well as Deku did, because, it's his quirk. And Bakugo honestly just got stronger with bigger explosions. A huge amount of finesse with his quirk, and he's about the same power that he would be as like a third year in the My Hero Academia story. So when I say that they're both very powerful, they're both reasonably powerful. That being said, obviously the teacher would walk inside as he's like, I know you all want to become heroes, just throwing the papers in the air. As the classroom would go insane, everybody's like, yeah. And then a couple of people would be like, but Bakugo and Deku are definitely going to the national school, right? As they would turn towards their direction, and Deku would stand up out of his chair as he would walk over towards the front of the class, and the teacher would be like, oh, go ahead, Deku. As, Deku's pretty much loved by everybody. Bakugo would walk up there as well, as they're like, yeah, we're going to the national schools. In the next 10 months, we're going to be training to get into UA High. And by the time you guys are done graduating high school, we'll already be the #1 heroes of Japan. As everybody in the class will just start going berserk. They're all just like, yeah, Deku, they're like, Bakugo. And everybody's just having a great time. Bakugo isn't even going to be a bully in this version because somebody was there to stop him from doing all those things, meaning Deku. And honestly, they both just have a pretty decent, cool life when it comes to their, life outside of school. Deku, being at the front of the classroom, would look at everybody as he's like, all right. Everybody settle down. I have to tell you guys about something. And that something is fandom. Now guys, Fandom is an anime merch company which you guys can basically get to by going down below to my description and clicking on those links. By doing that, you guys will be seeing a variety of selections of anime merch. Up on screen right now, you guys should be seeing some options. They have Dragon Ball, Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, One Punch Man, they have One Piece, they have My Hero, Naruto. They pretty much have every mainstream anime that you guys can think of, and they have a bunch of designs. They have hoodies, shirts, jean jackets, these the Tanjiro, Demon Slayer, like cloak things, and they honestly just have a bunch of fidget spinners and just things of that sort. They have a bunch of cool things on their website which you guys can get to and purchase. It helps out the channel and helps yourself out because you're getting a reasonable price on anime merch. Not only that, but all of their stuff right now, if you guys were to go check it out, is on a 50% discount, and you guys can even use code Zither at checkout for an extra 5% off of your order. So what are you guys waiting for? Go check out Fandom, click on the links down below in the description, and let's get right back into the what if. All right, so yeah, Deku tells them all about Fandom, shameless plug, and basically everybody would proceed to essentially just be like, oh yeah, Fandom seems pretty cool, let's go check it out. As everybody's like, oh man, decently priced. Who's this Zither guy? He looks cute. As everybody's like, yeah, I like Zither. Everybody likes him, and obviously that doesn't happen. But yeah, Deku just tells them all that they're going to the national schools, and school would basically release everybody. Now I'm guessing many of you guys are probably wondering, all right, so what happens after? Well, Bakugo and Deku would end up actually going to the arcade, not even going through that little alleyway where Deku ended up getting caught by the sludge villain and meeting All Might. So Deku doesn't even meet All Might in this versional event, and Bakugo and Deku essentially just trained for the 10 months, getting even stronger with their quirks. But the person who got the most benefit out of it was Bakugo, because during this time Deku was training mostly on how to use the sword instead of actually training his explosions. So when it comes to Bakugo and Deku having their sparring battles now, Deku is slowly starting to see an improvement with Bakugo because of the fact that he started lacking with his electricity, and Bakugo kept going even stronger with his explosion training and all that stuff. They would have ended up clearing Dagoma Beach because they're just amazing people now. Obviously not really, they just did it for the cardio and the physical strength training that would come along with it. They also would hit the gym, and they're like the two gym bros there. Like literally everybody knows them there. They know that they're gonna become pro heroes someday. They even have free memberships, which is pretty cool. And on their way out of the gym, some second years from another high school that is for pro heroes would approach Deku and Bakugo. Now Bakugo and Deku would basically just be throwing some towels across their necks. They're like, whew, that was quite a workout. As you know, those two guys would walk up there and they'd be like, so you guys are the little kids we've been hearing a lot of. We're transfer students and we just came in from America. Looks like you guys need to be taken down a couple of notches, because if you guys don't know it, we're the real big dogs around here. Deku and Bakugo would look up at them as they're both just laughing, and they're thinking that they're hot stuff, and Deku and Bakugo would walk away. Immediately one of them would grab Deku by the shirt and start yanking him, as everybody around would just be like staying quiet, and Deku would kind of just smirk as he would look at them and point his hand out. He's like signaling for them all to stop. Everybody would look as Deku would proceed to basically grab the guy's arm by his wrist and shoot electricity at him, like straight into his body, which would cause the guy to quite literally go into a shock, and he would fall onto the ground as he would start twitching a little bit. Deku would then stomp on his head as he would say, "That's where my respect is for you." As Bakugo, seeing that, would smirk and throw a straight uppercut explosion at the other guy, throwing him into one of the machines in the gym, as everybody would go insane and they'd be like, those two guys totally got effed up. As everybody's just having a good time, and Deku and Bakugo would be like, all right guys, we're gonna be leaving now, somebody take those guys to the hospital. As they do that, they call the hospital, and they're like, yeah, they started a fight, they got defeated, and obviously Deku and Bakugo just went home. This is when we're kind of just going to be skipping over to the day of the entrance exams, because there's really nothing to cover other than that. That being said though, yeah, entrance exams. All right, so both of them, clearly being who they are, would of course begin to get excited for the entrance exams. Now they would both be doing their own things, as they walk in there and they're sitting next to each other for the written exam. However, when it comes to the physical part of the exam, when it comes to that, both of them end up getting assigned to different places. And with that, they both end up obviously being in different sections of the UA entrance exam, meaning they're both going to be facing different robots. Now, in case any of you guys are wondering if any of the Ida stuff is going to be happening, no, it's not. That is because our boy Deku is not going to be over here whispering, muttering, or doing any of the stuff that our normal canon Deku would. So none of that little encounter will be happening. However, when it comes down to the physical portion, he still has to deal with Ida when it comes to him walking towards the front. Now, he's not exactly going towards Uraraka or any specific thing. However, when he walks over there, Ida basically mistakes Deku for walking over there to try to basically distract Araka, and him being the righteous white knight that he is would of course go over there. She's like, hey, don't distract that girl. Deku would see Ida put his hand over there. She's like, oh, I'm just walking towards the front. As Ida immediately bows down and he's like, oh, my apologies, I thought you were going to go distract that girl over there. As Deku's like, nah, just going to the front. As Deku would go over there, walk over there, and he would just be standing towards the gate. He would see the girl looking very nervous, as he would basically just look at her and be like, hey, what's your deal? As she would look at him and say, it's just, I'm really nervous. It's crazy, you know, this test is about to decide the rest of our lives, you know? As Deku would look at her and give her a little smile as he's like, don't worry about it. I'm sure you'll do great. If you made it this far, you're probably going to be doing amazing. Araka hearing that and then looking at Deku's face would immediately just be like, yeah. As Deku would then look at her, give her a thumbs up, and she would just immediately look towards Deku and she's like, so cute. This is when Deku would quite literally jump over before anybody could notice, as black electricity would coat his body in a similar fashion to Killua, as, you know, he would be wearing a hoodie, a black one at that, as it's just around his face, and Deku just has this black aura of electricity going on around him, as his hair spiking up, and he would basically blitz inside of there. So he would just destroy robot after robot. He would honestly just be going in there, shooting electricity at a bunch of them, and he would be sucking electricity out of some robots to quite literally put them out of commission, meaning that he would blitz at some of them and just literally tap them, which would cause all the energy to transfer into his own body, and he would convert that into electricity, as he would shoot it around, and he would then pull down a dragon the second that he sees the zero pointer. Because by that point it has been about 10 minutes into it, and the zero pointer would of course be taken out. Now when the zero pointer basically comes out, Deku would immediately see it going towards Araka. Being the person that he is, he would proceed to create a gigantic panther of lightning, as he would create a bunch of hand signs just to make it look as if he's doing a jutsu, and then a gigantic panther would shoot out straight at the robot, causing the zero pointer to get pushed back a bit so that it couldn't step or get near Araka. After this, Deku would aim his hand up to the sky as he would say Kirin, and pull down a gigantic dark dragon, which would completely destroy the zero pointer. And after this, Deku would quite literally just sigh as he's like, alright, that took a lot of energy out. As he basically goes to the top of a roof and sits there, as he puts on his earbuds and says, that one song from the Miles Morales movie, if you guys remember it. And, you know, he's just sitting up there going, whoo! Nah, but yeah, he's doing his thing up there, and of course we basically just have Deku just sitting there until the final little exam stuff is over. Afterwards, Deku would jump down as he would go home with Bakugo. Both of them would of course end up getting their entrance acceptance letters together, as they would look at each other and think, I wonder how the next part of the series is gonna go. Bakugo would say, well, they have to smash 1,000 likes, so I don't know if they're even gonna get that far. Deku would look at them and be like, nah, trust me, they're gonna get there. They always do, right guys? You always do. Anyways guys, that is where I'm going to be wrapping up What If Deku Had Black Lightning. I hope you guys enjoyed the first part of this series, and I hope that I get to make more of this if you guys end up smashing the like button. That being said though guys, I love each and every single one of you guys. It has been your boy Zether, and I am out. Peace.